All right, folks, here we go again. Welcome to another episode of Liquid Loans Behind the Scenes. In this quick episode, we're going to cover front-end decentralized operation in the Liquid Loans protocol. So what does that mean? Okay, so let's have a quick look on screen. So I'll get my laser pointer here. There we go. So we've got the Liquid Loans protocol, and that's all the code and everything that makes this thing operate. It's launched on the Pulse chain network. It's immutable, no admin keys. The code is locked. So it is a protocol. It's sitting there in the ether on the Pulse chain network. So no owners or anything. So once it's launched, it's launched. So that in itself is decentralized. But how do we interact with the actual protocol? So much like we'll use go.hex.com to interact with the hex contract, we need some sort of front end to be able to interact with the Liquid Loans protocol. So how does that look? Well, on the Pulse chain, we've got our Liquid Loans protocol running, and then somewhere hosted on a web server somewhere on the internet, there is a front end, and a user comes along and connects their MetaMask wallet to the front end and puts in the values that they wish to enter into the front end app or DApp, and then that gets sent over to the protocol to interact with the protocol. So we're all pretty familiar with this in general terms. So if you've used Hex or many other DeFi protocols, you'll understand that a lot of these things are a simple front end that's interacting with a bit of code that's running on the blockchain. In Hex, we've got the example of go.hex.com. We have backup hex, apex.win. What else do we have? I'm sure there's others. We've got Staker app. So all these things are front ends that just speak to the Hex protocol. What that means is it's very decentralized. It means if one of those front ends goes offline, there's another one there to keep running and people can interact with the code. So very, very important that we have a situation where the protocol is not reliant upon one single entity. We see a lot of DeFi protocols that claim to be DeFi, but if their front end went offline, you'd be in a world of trouble trying to interact with the protocol. In a lot of cases, you simply can't do it. Liquid Loans, very, very good from a decentralization point of view, to the point where multiple front ends can be spun up and you're free to interact with the back-end protocol using any of those front ends. So let's dive in a little bit to how and why there might be multiple front ends. So what would incentivize someone to run a front end? Let's have a look. So in Liquid Loans, the front-end operators can set what is called a kickback rate. It's a way of being able to generate some revenue from the service of providing a front end. Let's have a look. So this particular user over here is interacting with this front end here, and the front end operator has set the kickback rate to 98%. So what that means is the person using the service is getting the lion's share of the rewards. Let's have a look. So this person interacts with this particular front end and deposits some USDL into the USDL stability pool. Now, how would they do that? Well, they might have actually brought some USDL from PulseX, or they've somehow acquired some USDL. So they already hold it, and they can go in and straight away put it into the USDL stable pool, and they will get given rewards in the way of some Pulse, or the reward token, the secondary token, the fee generating token, the loan token. And that's really what we're focusing on here, is the reward that is given out in the loan token will go back to both the front end operator and the user of the front end. Now, before we delve into that, now they could have also chosen to deposit some Pulse, mint some USDL, and deposit in the stability pool as well. So there's multiple ways you can acquire USDL. Those are just two of them, but if you hold some and you deposit it into the stable pool, you are going to get issued loan rewards. Now we said a share goes back to both the front-end operator and the user of the front end, and that's in proportion to the kickback rate. So in this instance, the user gets the 98% of the loan token that is issued as a reward, and the front-end operator gets a 2%. Now, what we envisage will happen on Liquid Loans is we'll have multiple front-end operators pop up. And don't get too excited. Just because I've put those names there doesn't mean that StakeWrap is running a front end, or Pulse Chain is going to run a front end, or Xerion, or How to Pulse. But they're examples of how this can work. So in this instance, we've got StakeWrap being a mobile app, so they could run the front end on a mobile and integrate it with the app. PulseChain.com, that'll be a great resource to hit PulseChain.com and be able to go off to a useful tool where you can extract value from your Pulse. Xerion, a DeFi platform, we have already reached out and trying to get some traction on getting integrated with Xerion. That would be another cool feature. And obviously How to Pulse, they're about everything Pulse, so maybe once we launch they'll choose to run a front end. Now the kickback rate, why would someone choose to use a service that offered a 95% kickback rate as opposed to a 98% kickback rate? So if they chose to operate that one on that was offering the lower kickback, then they'd get less of a reward. However, the person running that front end may be offering something additional, some extra feature or service that it's worth paying that premium for. How might that look? I think I've seen something on the Liquidity protocol the other day where someone had deposited into the stability pool, and over time they were getting a bit of Pulse build up, so their USDL was being used to provide stability, and that was getting replaced with the Pulse at a slight profit. So then they were selling the Pulse back into USDL and re-putting it in the stability pool automatically. So that's what that front end was allowing you to do. So there's other cool ways that you can take a lot of the, let's just say you're keen on one of the strategies that's been kicking around through our Telegram group, and someone creates a tool where the front end allows you to automate that strategy. That might be worth paying a premium for. So that's where we sort of see this heading. And ultimately, we don't want to have just one front end. We want tens of front ends, hundreds of front ends if required, just to give the service the required, or the, not required, but I guess the envisaged decentralization that we see. We want to see this running immutable, no governance on the Pulse Chain network with multiple front ends, where users can be comfortable that they can come and access the service, and they're not going to get shut out or locked out because of a central party they're relying upon. That's the beauty of running a true DeFi protocol that can be operated in a truly decentralized fashion. Liquid Loans doesn't require anyone to pull any levers to control the mint of the stable coin, or to ensure the stability of the peg on the system. It's all in the one box and dice on the code. So no one needs to have a management portal to be able to manipulate those things. That runs by itself. Front ends can just plug into it. There's an SDK, software development kit, that allows people to fire up these front ends. So we hope the community will embrace that and choose to support Liquid Loans and support the protocol by running their own front end. That's it for me for this episode. I'll catch you all in the next one.